So a man wants to build some muscle. Question came in today basically was, what's the best muscle builder for men? And I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit because I know you're probably thinking what specific exercise, but it's not based on an exercise. It's gonna be based on how you're performing an exercise. So there's a lot of factors that we could get into, and there's a bunch of scientific stuff that we can get into with all this as well. But basically what you have to understand is there's a couple of different things that you're gonna be working on when you're looking to build in muscle. Okay, you're going to be working with progressive loading, okay, and fatigue are going to be your two main governing factors, is what's going to be happening with your muscles. So progressive loading is you're always trying to challenge yourself. If I can get, say if I want to stay between a 6 to 8 rep range with a particular movement, if I'm starting at 100 pounds and I work at 6, 7, 8, and then I go up to 105, then I go 6, 7, 8, 110, 6, 7, 8. So you're doing both there, a double progression really. You're doing a progression of weights and you're doing a progression of repetitions within that. So the other governing factor is fatigue. Because as your body starts to fatigue, your form will break down. It has to break down if you get fatigued. So when you're getting into some of those weight ranges where you're not performing the exact movement, that's what failure is. Failure isn't like I just can't cheat and try to get one more. That's not failure. Failure is if this is my good form and my next one I have to go like this was your last rep. Because this is a different movement because you're not using the same musculature that you did for the prior 6 that you were using. So fatigue is a big factor. So when a lot of us, if you're my age and or close to it, you probably heard we had the 1 to 5 reps was for strength training, 8 to 12 was optimal for building muscle, 15 20 for either toning or for endurance. But that's not accurate at all. What's accurate is your muscles just understand that this is the load that's placed on me. This is what I need to do to adapt to that load. So keeping your weights higher, your reps lower, is going to decrease how much that fatigue is going to mess with the whole process, okay? So if I'm doing 5 reps here versus I'm getting a lighter weight and I'm doing this on 6 to 8 and I'm thinking I'm doing 10, your fatigue is going to be a limiting factor, not just with the muscles that you're working, but your supporting muscles as well. So if you're doing, say, deadlifts, and your lower back is weaker and it starts to get fatigued because it doesn't have the endurance that some of the other muscles, then your lower back is going to be negatively impeding what you're doing on your deadlift. Or if your bench press and your front delts are weaker than your pecs and you're trying to get 15 reps in and these are failing before this, then this is being cheated because of these. So you have to make sure that you're doing those different types of things. One guy I listened to had a great way of putting it. He said, if you can get the same level of growth in going 5 to 6 reps as you could be doing in 10 to 12 reps, is the equivalent of if I have a store across the street, I could get what I need versus I'm walking across town to get what I need. So yeah, just cross the street, it's easier, it's more efficient. That's what you want to be doing. So heavier weights, lower reps, great form is going to get you what you want to get in terms of overall muscle building. Next thing that you could start to think about is, well, what kind of movement am I doing? So you have 2 basic giant groups within there too. You have compound movements and you have more isolation movements, right? So if I'm doing a pull-up, for instance, I'm using, or a chin-up, I'm using my whole back, I'm using my lats, I'm using my traps, I'm using my biceps, I'm using my forearms. Great movement, and it's going to build systemically, versus if I'm doing a curl, then I'm working isolation. So it depends on what it is specifically that you're trying to do within your overall balance. We talked a little bit about that when you're designing your overall training program. We're working on balance now. We're not just working about one thing. We're not just working our mirror muscles or Joey bicep muscles, right? We want to make sure everything is going. So if I'm seeing that there's a specific muscle that's not performing adequately in my compound movements, then I'm going to use an isolation movement to work on that. So as we get older, as we age, a lot of the muscles that we can't see are the ones that are going to start to break down first, because they tend to be the ones we use least, right? You're working in this kind of a plane. I'm walking, I'm doing things, I'm pushing, I'm lifting, I'm pulling. Up here, I'm not really doing a whole lot here. I'm not doing a whole lot of pulling. I'm not doing a whole lot of, reaching and twisting and those different types of things. So these muscles get used a lot less. Same thing with your hamstrings. Same thing with your calves as you're walking. You're getting a lot more calf work. And then the front of your leg, tibialis anterior here, shitty camera angle, but that's not getting worked to the same way. So it's just through daily repetition, going thousands and thousands and thousands. Think of it. I mean, you're 40, 50, 60 years old. How many thousands of miles do you think you've walked? How many hundreds of things have you pushed? How many, you're more accurate if I'm like, I have no equipment at all, I get nothing to do. Okay, I got to do something. I'm going to do some push-ups. Well, that's all front here, right? Well, what are you doing for the back? That's harder to do unless you have some kind of a leverage that you can pull against, right? So you have that tendency, if I'm doing something, I'm throwing, all my motion is going here, but I'm not really having that corresponding movement coming back. So when I'm getting into my isolation movements versus my compound, some of those things I might be doing, like for instance, I might be doing a face pull, then I'm getting into some of those movements that I'm not getting into here and kind of balancing everything out. So compound movements and isolation movements, they all have their place. So if somebody says, oh no, all you'd be doing is compound movements, that's the only thing you need. Well, no, you don't. Because again, it's about balance and how things are going. And you have to tailor that specifically to what it is that you're doing with your body as well. So those are the main things that you need to focus on right there. So again, progressive loading, always trying to challenge yourself. There's a lot of different studies out there that I'm not going to get into the minutia of, but they show that a lower rep range, higher weights is going to give you better results. You don't need to be doing, 40 sets of 30 curls and 30 hammer curls and be in there doing all this other type of stuff, because you're not really, after you get to a certain point, the fatigue is just going to decrease. It's the law of limiting returns, right? So a way to do it, right? Say, hey, I'm hungry, I'm starving, I haven't had a donut, it's my cheat day. I got this donut, I have this whole dozen donuts. Take that first bite of that donut, and oh my God, it friggin' tastes so good. It tastes great. And then you eat that donut, by the time you get done, oh, that was good. And I'm gonna have a second donut. You have that second donut, doesn't taste quite so good, but still tastes pretty good. And then in your head, you said, I'm gonna eat a dozen donuts. You eat that dozen donuts. By that last donut, you say, I never want to see a fucking donut again for the rest of my life. So it's a law of diminishing returns, but your training is like that as well, right? So if I'm overdoing on a specific exercise, I may be getting, say, 70% benefit out of my first set. I may be getting 65% benefit out of my second set, 50 out of my third set, and then I'm done. Because then after that, it's like I'm getting more and more tired. The rest of my body's getting more and more tired, which is going to affect the rest of my workout. And I'm not going to be doing anything really to build what it is I'm trying to build. So that's your progressive overload, and that's your fatigue factors. Then your next part again is what you're talking about with your movements, your compound movements. I love compound movements. I love my squats. I love my deadlifts. I like my pull-ups. So I like, clean and press, all great movements. But again, you have to be able to do both the systemic movements, the compound movements where you're using multiple joints, and isolation movements where you're using just one joint or one or two joints, in order to make sure that you're targeting those things which haven't been built and developed over the course of your natural activity, in addition to what it is that you're doing through your training. So make sure that you're balancing your whole body out. Make sure that you're doing compound movements. Make sure you're doing isolation movements. Isolation movements are good for getting in, again, hypertrophy with a specific thing. So if I'm doing if I'm doing a pull-up versus I'm doing a curl, the curl is going to focus that much more on my bicep than here. I'm going to be getting a lot more, into my lats and into my back and things like that too. So all those things have to combine and be balanced. So again, like I said, long deck, right? You probably say, oh, I just wanted to know if I should be doing a squat or if I should be doing a leg extension or if I should be doing deadlifts. Yeah, you should. You should be doing all of them, actually. So again, big picture, understand what is he trying to do. But your two main things, again, progressive overload, fatigue. Those are the two main things, the two main factors that affect hypertrophy. Stay steady, stay strong.